What's up everyone, Kriddle here, and I've been playing D&D 5th edition for many years, and I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 now for a lot of hours since its release, and I wanted to go over what I believe is the best starting character for pretty much any party in any type of D&D game, and that's going to be a face character that's going to be able to do all of your dialogue, and then also have a lot of the utility abilities that you need, like picking locks and stealth and all that kind of fun stuff. So that character is going to be a half-elf, and then you're going to go down here to a wood half-elf. The reason you want to go with a wood half-elf is because it has an additional 1.5 bonus movement speed, which is fantastic in a turn-based game, allowing you to move a little bit faster. And then also it says right here, an eye for stealth. That means that you actually get proficiency in the stealth skill, giving you a +2 bonus at level 1, and then it goes up later on with your proficiency bonus, so you are just better at stealth. The class itself, you're going to be choosing the Bard, and the reason for the Bard is because it gets a lot of utility spells. In addition, it uses everything based on its charisma, which you're going to be using for all of your talking abilities, like your persuasions and things like that. So then we're going to come down here to our cantrips. Cantrips here have 3 different options. We have Minor Illusion and Friends. Minor Illusion is wonderful. It's actually much better than you think it is, because it's going to allow you to distract every single enemy or NPC in an area and allow you to go do something else while they're distracted. So what you do is you cast Minor Illusion over to the side where you are not going to be going or doing something, and then every NPC will turn and be like, hey, what's that? And they'll go walk over to it and investigate it. So they're all going to have their eyes on this little cat that you cast over to the side, which you can cast while staying hidden and while you're silenced. Fantastic spell. And then while they're all distracted, you can just sneak around the corner or pick a lock real quick or whatever you want to do there. Sometimes you might have to be a little bit fast with that, but it's a very good spell for doing things like that. Friends is also a fantastic spell, especially for dialogue. What this allows you to do is get advantage on all your charisma checks. Now, there is one problem with Friends. If you're playing on the tactician mode, you can make NPCs angry with you. So what you can do is during your dialogue and you're talking to them or whatever, and you want to have advantage on this skill check because you really don't want to fail it, then you're going to cast Friends on them. After the dialogue is over, if they don't walk away and disappear or whatever they do, and they stay in the area, you're going to want to get away from them before that spell wears off. You can see the spell on them. If you look at the NPC, it'll have like a red glow kind of around them, meaning that they have that spell on them. So just leave the area, get far away from them. If they see you again, they may say, hey, you charmed me. Why did you charm me? I'm now mad at you. You need to talk me down from this, which you could do since you're a bard and you can talk people out of it. You may have to bribe them, or they may just simply attack you. So just be aware of that. The last spell here is going to be Mage Hand. Mage Hand is actually way more useful than a lot of people think. So with Mage Hand, you can do things like open doors, hit switches, and you can actually move around things like crates and barrels, stuff like that. So let's say that you have a vent on the ground and you see a crate right next to it, but there's a lot of NPCs around it and you don't want to trigger that trap. So you just send in an invisible Mage Hand. You can go grab that barrel and you can move it over that vent so the gas or whatever doesn't come out when it's triggered. It can also, put something on there for like a pressure plate, those kind of things. The last thing, or not the last thing that it can do, another thing that it can do that I don't think a lot of people realize is it can actually attack the bigger crate. So it can't move the heavy barrels that are filled with something like oil, for example. It can't move those because they're too heavy. However, it can attack them for 1 damage and break them. So what you can do in that situation, say that there's a barrel right in the middle of a bunch of enemies, you can actually go back, back your characters away, cast Mage Hand, and send the invisible Mage Hand in, and then it can attack that barrel, putting the oil everywhere, and those enemies or NPCs will most likely attack that Mage Hand, and they'll lose attitude towards the Mage Hand, but they will not lose attitude or attack you as long as you are far enough away. The last thing that it can do is it can help you steal items. So maybe you see a sword or something in the middle of a bunch of goblins, and you really want to get that magical sword, but you don't want to have to fight all the goblins to get it, you send in the mage hand, and the mage hand can basically walk that sword back, moving it, about, I would say, 9 or so meters at a time. It can just keep moving these items, and you can just move the item around a corner or move it to wherever your characters are at that's out of sight of all the goblins, and then have your character pick it up, put it in their pouch, and no one's the wiser. So fantastic ability with a lot of utility there. I recommend getting Mage Hand at level 3, I believe, is when you can get an additional cantrip. So that's what I recommend doing there. For your spells, so you're going to start out with 4 level 1 spells. These are the 4 that I recommend starting with. The first is Speak with Animal. So this is a ritual spell. It doesn't say it here on the front, but it is a ritual spell. So you can cast it all 4 of these are ritual spells. So you can cast it without spending any spell slots as long as you are outside of combat. So at the start of each day, you're going to cast Speak with Animals on yourself. You're also going to come over here and you're going to cast Long Strider, which is going to give you an additional 3 meters movement to all 4 of your characters, because you can cast it on all 4 characters. And then over here, you're going to cast this right before the start of any fight that you're getting into, especially if you are in an area there's cliffs and things that you could fall off of. I noticed that when in my playthrough of Tactician difficulty, NPCs love to try to push you off of things. So Featherfall is very, very useful. If you cast it when all of your characters are around in one area, it'll actually cast it on all 4 characters at once. So you don't have to cast it individually. You cast it once and then start your fight. The last one here is Disguise Self. And Disguise Self is good for a couple of things. So if you're talking to an NPC that, may dislike wood elves, or just not like any other race except for their race for any reason, you can then disguise yourself to whatever race that you want so that they would actually like you a little bit more from the start. So you might get additional dialogue options, or maybe you actually get a dialogue option, whereas before you may not get a dialogue option whatsoever because they're like, you're a wood elf and I don't like wood elves. So Disguise Self is fantastic for when you're talking to certain NPCs that may or may not like you, or just if you want them to like you a bit more. After that, what I recommend once you level up, I think level 3 or 4, maybe 2, you're going to get another additional level 1 spells. I would recommend getting either Cure Wounds or Healing Word. The difference is Healing Word is a ranged spell you can use on a bonus action, and then Cure Wounds is a touch spell, but it does heal for a bit more. I think that in this game, Healing Word has a little bit more utility to it. It does heal for slightly less. However, the range on it and being a bonus action is very, very nice in this game. So I recommend grabbing that one when you level up and you can get additional first level spells. So starting instrument, doesn't matter what you choose here. And then background, you have 2 options here. The first one is Charlatan, and the second one is Guild Artisan. The reason you go with either one of these is because of the skills that they give you down here. I do recommend starting with Charlatan over Guild Artisan. However, you can start with either one. The reason I recommend Charlatan is because of the sleight of hand here. You do get sleight of hand and deception, whereas down here, you're going to get insight and persuasion. So starting out, you're going to want the persuasion and you're going to want the deception and sleight of hand. So insight is one that I would grab maybe later on if you have that ability to do so. So what you're going to do is come down here to abilities. And then here, a lot of people are missing this, which is your skill proficiencies. You can actually choose your skill proficiencies here. So if you look right here, we're going to start with sleight of hand proficiency, stealth proficiency. We're also going to get proficient in deception, intimidation, performance, and persuasion. These are all of your talking skills that you're going to be using when you're talking to NPCs, and you can get through a lot of dialogue this way. You can also, because you have Speak with Animals up all the time, you'll be able to talk to animals and even do some of these things with animals to get by some of that, so you don't really need animal handling. Now, Insight is a very, very good skill to have, and so is Perception. I would definitely recommend getting both of those at some point if you can, or getting them on a different character. You usually don't need either one of these in dialogues, but sometimes you will, and it's nice to have them, though, throughout your playthrough when you're looking for certain things. Now, for your skills here, I do recommend the starting skills. They're actually very, very good. A few things that you could change around, but just make sure that you focus on these things in particular. Charisma, you definitely want it to start at 17, which means that you have to max it out and put 2 points into it here. I would highly recommend doing that so that when you hit level 4, you can pop that up to 18 for that +4 bonus. The next one that I recommend is going to be dexterity. Whoops, sorry, these are not the recommended, are they? Yeah, I think the recommended is actually this right here. So you could go with dexterity. So at level 4, you would put 1 point into charisma, 1 point into dexterity. The reason that you can do this is because you're going to go College of Lore at level 3, which means you can only wear light armor. So you don't have any of that negative dexterity that you get from some of the medium and heavier armors. So I do recommend getting dexterity. That's going to help you out with your stealth checks, your sleight of hand checks, things like that. Another one that you could do if you wanted to is go down here and put that bonus point into intelligence. And then from intelligence, when you hit level 4, you put 1 point here, and then you put 1 point here into intelligence, giving you that extra +2 instead of the +1 to your intelligence rolls, which will help you out with your insight checks. This is another thing that I would say I recommend doing on a different character, unless you can actually focus on getting insight on this character as well. Your perception is not going to be that great because your wisdom is going to be a little bit low. I do recommend going like this. If you want to, you could pump down your constitution and put a few points into your wisdom here. So then you could actually, bump those up a little bit if you want to. Those are options for later on, but again, I do recommend, as long as you put in the 17 here, and then you want to have 15, I would say, in dexterity. Everything else you can kind of move around however you like. So hopefully that helps you all out. I won't go into a bunch of detail on these things, but at level 2, you're going to get Jack of all trades, and you're also going to get additional short rest, which means that you're going to get 3 short rests per day instead of the 2 short rests that you start with. Fantastic in this game because short rests refresh a lot of abilities. They also heal you for half your hit points, and you just don't have to go back to camp as often. And if you're playing on tactician difficulty, it does cost more food to camp for your long rest. So, it'll help save a little bit of food that way. And then at level 3, you're going to go College of Lore. One of the first spell that I recommend that you grab from college, or once you get the College of Lore, is Detect Thoughts. Detect Thoughts is another ritual spell that you can cast on yourself. It is concentration, but it is ritual, and it will last until a long rest. So at that point, you're going to have 3 spells cast on you. As soon as you wake up in the morning, you're going to be putting on Speak with Animals. You're going to be putting on Longstrider and Deception. All 3 of those spells will stay on permanently, and they will help you out quite a bit. Deception is very much like the Friends spell. However, if some people recognize you casting it, they may get mad at you. So be careful using that, especially on tactician difficulty. They may get upset and may want to fight you. So anyway, that is it for what I believe is the best starting character and really best character all around for any group in Baldur's Gate or 5th edition D&D. And hopefully that helps you out. If it does, please like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. I do stream daily on Twitch, so come over and check me out there and help us out. Thank you so much. Bye.